Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Armor for Truth Live number 379. We're talking about the dire wolf and the de-extinction, or what they're calling the resurrection of an extinct species. Now, is that really what's happened here? Let's take a quick look at it. I wanted to get this broadcast into you before the weekend, because this is an important story, and it seems to have been making a lot of waves on the news and throughout YouTube. What we're going to do is we're going to start out, we're going to listen to one of the founders of the company who's done this. They're called Colossal. This is their website. It's very informative. It's an excellent, beautiful website. It's an awesome website. But what's really going on here? Let's get down to the truth. First of all, let's listen to some commentary from Rogan and Ben Lamm, founder of Colossal.
Like a little cigar. My question, if I was going to grill you, if I was a reporter, it'd be like, what right do you have to invade the natural process of nature and to inject your curiosity and your ability to create new life?
I think that we've become the apex predator on this planet, and we inject our curiosity and choices every day that we overfish the ocean, we overhunt something. In the case of the thylacine, the Australian government put a bounty on its head and killed it off, right? Every time we cut down the rainforest, every time we drink hydrogenated water, we are, playing God on some level, right? Humans are very good at changing the natural flow of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is what, we'll just get to it. You made a fuck.
Oh, all right, there's Joe. And yeah, so these are, some pictures of there's some of the adult wolves, and we've got some of the pups are known as Romulus and Remus. Let's let you hear them cry, because it is very cute.
Easy for George R. R. Martin, obviously.
Obviously.
Who's an investor in Colossal.
Oh, wow. Aww. Nature's cute little murderers.
Yeah, there's a comment.
Well, everything in nature murders something, right?
Yeah.
Like we murder.
Well, cows murder grass.
Yeah. And people are now saying you can hear grass and other plants like scream now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they scream.
Yeah. So I guess we all are bad. So.
Life eats life. This is. I mean, that's the reason why plants have chemicals to dissuade us from eating them. What are they eating there?
All right. So there you go. There's a little bit of an introduction to what's going on here, and quite a lot to deal with there, and we'll deal with most of that, the relevant stuff, right? Ben Lamm says, we thought if we could do something that could bring back the dire wolf and also help wolf conservation. So this is always presented as if it's about conservation, right? It's about correcting what arrogant and aggressive and intrusive mankind has done to the world. So there's certainly a climate change narrative attached to this. And I think that's smart on their part, because that's how you get funding these days, right? He says, so he lucked out and found a tooth that was 13,000 years old and a skull that was 73,000 years old. Joe asks him, if I was a reporter, what right do you have to do this? And he says, well, we're the apex predator. And then Ben responds to saying, well, when Joe says, cute, their nature's a little murderers. He says, well, everything murders, right? We're going to deal with all of those points. Let me just go ahead and let's see. So Colossal's mission statement basically is, we endeavor to jumpstart nature's ancestral heartbeat. To see the woolly mammoth, now that's their primary goal, is to bring back a woolly mammoth. It's really a hairy elephant. Okay, that's really what it is. They want to see the woolly mammoth thunder upon the tundra once again, to advance the economies of biology and nutrition, to make humanity more human. To make humanity more human. And to reawaken the lost wilds of Earth so we and our planet can breathe easier. All right. What we're seeing here is a religion. This is not science. This is the religion of scientific humanism. Colossal Biosciences' mission to de-extinct the dire wolf and other species is not just a scientific project. This is the manifestation of an alternate humanistic religion, a technocratic mythology that supplants the creator with man and exchanges true dominion for counterfeit divinity. This venture, colossal, cloaked in scientific language and progressive virtue signaling for sure, really reflects a deeper cultural rebellion against God, revealing the hubris of modernity and the dangers of, very important here, CRISPR-driven biotechnologies when they're unmoored from biblical authority. All right. Now, we see in Genesis 1, 26 and 28, biblically understood the concept of dominion. That refers to stewardship and governance of creation under God's moral law, not the autonomous manipulation or the recreation of life, right? You heard Joe say there, if I was a reporter, I'd say, what right do you have to create new life? Well, no one's created any new life. Okay, that hasn't happened. But the process of de-extinction, let's define that. They say it's particularly seen in Colossal's project as the genetically driven attempt to resurrect. Now, that's marketing. Nothing's being resurrected. All right, that's just a marketing term. To resurrect extinct species using tools like CRISPR, a form of genetic editing that allows scientists to modify DNA with precision. Yeah, we've been down that road before, haven't we? All right. Now, Ben Lamm's attempt to normalize the potential aggression of genetically engineered canines by saying that everything murders on Earth, that's a profound misunderstanding, not only of language, but of ethics. Murder is a moral category that presupposes personhood and moral agency. This is not what animals have. They don't have personhood or moral agency. Biblically, murder is the unjust killing of a human being made in God's image, Genesis 9:6. Not the consumption. He said cows murder grass. I know these guys are just kicking it, right? They're smoking a little, but this is the co-founder of the organization whose goal is to bring back extinct species. Consuming vegetation by herbivores, right? Or man lawfully hunting and killing animals for food, that is not murder. What you see happening in war, biblically, is not murder, okay? These are, the Ten Commandments says, thou shalt not kill. That term for kill, when you look underneath the underlying language, is murder. It's thou shalt not murder is the term under there. So the use of the term murder for ecological processes, that's a subtle redefinition of moral language. This is a hallmark of cultural relativism. By erasing distinctions between human beings and animals, right? This is really clever marketing. Colossal's ethic collapses into a nihilistic eco-spirituality that sees no hierarchy in creation. We're all equal, right? Thus, it denies the uniqueness of man and God's moral law. All right. Now, Colossal's website, which you're seeing here, again, it's an excellent website. I encourage you to check it out. They have a lot of useful information about what's going on around the world, but you have to be wise as serpents, gentle as doves. You have to always be aware of what worldview is coming out of it. And that's what we want to give you here so you can understand this, because this is going to be a story. Colossal's website and their press releases speak confidently of evolutionary divergence and macroevolutionary processes. Macroevolution is the process of that, or the idea that mankind, all species, have evolved from one common ancestor. You could take that all the way back to a rock, right? It is also to say that since we share the same DNA, similar DNA to a banana, that, we come from the same common ancestor as a banana. This is macroevolution, okay? Macro meaning large. Microevolution is just the adaptation of over time, which is something that is observed. Macroevolution, all from one common ancestor, has never been observed. This is not something that's observed. The notion that all life evolved from a common ancestor by means of beneficial mutations remains a philosophical presupposition. This is not an observed law of science, but that's what Colossal's efforts are based upon. As Stephen C. Meyer has shown in Darwin's Doubt, the sudden appearance of complex life in the Cambrian explosion defies gradualism that was required by even Darwinian theory. All right. CRISPR, again, this genetic editing technology. CRISPR does not validate evolution, the fact that we can edit genes. It presupposes a designer. It presupposes design and therefore a designer. The act of editing DNA with purpose and precision testifies to not to blind chance, but to the intelligibility and orderliness of the genome that has been designed by a designer. Francis Collins called this DNA the language of God. Ironically, the very tools these scientists use to reject divine creation point to the necessity of a creator. CRISPR technology is powerful, and when it's used ethically to cure disease, for example, can be a tool of mercy. You know, technology is not the problem. It's man's heart. That's the problem. But when CRISPR is applied to recreate life, alter human embryos, or define morality, apart from God, it becomes a modern Tower of Babel. And as with all technology, the moral question is not, can we? The question is, should we? That's what the Bible does for us. It's not there to tell us every detail, but it is there to tell us why we should or shouldn't do this or that. As with all technology, the moral question is not can we, but should we, and on what grounds? And that brings me to the question is, who is this organization, or who are these scientists ultimately responsible to? Without a biblical worldview, biotechnology becomes another form of alchemy, man's attempt to transcend the limits imposed by the fall and reclaim of Eden on his own terms. But true restoration doesn't come through gene editing. It comes through Christ, by whom all things were created, and in whom all things hold together. That's Colossians 1, 16 and 17. So this direwolf story is a reminder of man's longing to create, man's desire to restore and to overcome death. And in many cases, these impulses are good. They've been designed into us to take dominion over the earth. But these impulses apart from God become idolatrous. The gospel offers the only coherent hope of resurrection, not through labs or pet projects, but through Christ who conquered death. So the Christian steward doesn't scorn science or technology, but subjects it to God's word. The Christian recognizes the difference between dominion and domination, between stewardship and sovereignty. And so our charge is not to improve creation by rewriting DNA, but to care for it as those who await redemption and a true resurrection of all things in Christ's return. Romans 8. So this project, it's not just an eccentric scientific story, it's a cultural parable that we can look at today and learn from. It's a parable of man's rebellion and the desire to become God, to be as God. It reveals the spiritual bankruptcy of technocratic humanism and the need for a return to a biblical worldview that dominates, that exalts the Creator, not the creature. Romans chapter 1. Only through Christ can humanity find the redemption and the dominion and the purpose that our culture desperately seeks in the Petri dish. All right. We'll have this article up on Substack ready for you soon. And let me remind you before we get out of here, please go check out our Substack account. You can find the links in the description under this video. Our latest article, Snow White, Disney's Grim Awakening. This is about the importance of fairy tales and storytelling in our culture, and how Disney has seemingly become the enemy of families. All right, and many excellent articles Summer has prepared and posted here, written and posted here for you that will edify you and keep you abreast of what's going on in the world through the lens of the Christian worldview, because that's the one that's true. God bless you, my friends. We'll see you next time.